I just want to bring up the topic of Doug Wilson to close things out here. And specifically, seeing him tributed the way the Sharks did tonight was special, but just seeing him alone was special. Doug's been going through some health issues, which he touched on a little bit in his morning media session. And the video's here on my channel, but just to summarize what he said is that there were some health issues, and he was honest about maybe he neglected getting things checked up on or treated or taken care of, and next thing he knows, it's right now, and he said that, he's got a ways to go, and he's still got some battles to fight, and he's not in a position, I think quoting him, he's not in a position that he wants to be in right now. And so I just want to say I wish him the best. I want to separate all the hockey stuff and decisions. I want to put all that stuff aside. Like, we'll get there, okay? But first, let's begin with the person. When I started covering the Sharks, obviously he was the GM. He had been around for a long time prior to that, and even going back to 91 to 93 when he was the first captain of the San Jose Sharks over at the Cow Palace. Always treated people with respect, always answered a question as best he could or as best he wanted to, didn't necessarily avoid the situation, was up front just saying like, hey, we're not going to talk about this negotiation. I know you want to know about it, but I just can't go there. He was just very fair, right? Never played games with people. Was authentic. I think I used the word genuine already, but if I didn't, let's say that 5 more times because there is no better word. A truly class individual that if you're going to have somebody represent your team and deal with the players, and how many guys took that hometown discount to stay with the Sharks over the years? A lot. It was a culture created in San Jose of winning a bunch of games, always being competitive. I mean, look at I've got this here in the notes, which is absolutely amazing. When you think about what he did for a certain span with the Sharks, was the GM from May 13th of 03 until April 7th of 2022. Reached the Stanley Cup playoffs in 14 of 15 seasons between 2003 and 2019. Now, let's just remember where we are right now. Outside of the playoffs, looking in for 3 straight seasons for the first time ever in franchise history. But for 15 years, for a 15-year span, most of the 2000s and 2010s, he got them to the playoffs 14 of 15 times. Look how hard it is right now for this team to get back there. Now, is this current Sharks group paying a little bit of the price of success for all that time that Doug was a part of? Maybe. I mean, but that's a natural ebb and flow of professional sports. Right? You're good for a while to keep things going. You have to maybe sacrifice some of your younger players to get players for here and now to try and make that push, to try and get back to another conference final and to another Stanley Cup final. It's just, and we're talking about Doug, the GM. Let's go back to the playing days. All those years with Chicago, coming to San Jose, being the first ever Sharks captain, a Norris Trophy winner in 1982, was one of the last players to be in the helmet era of the NHL and not wear a bucket. What was he thinking? What a savage. But again, I kind of got to the business side, didn't I? I really meant to start with the personal side and let you understand that I really respected, the way that he presented himself to everybody and treated everybody. I think it's a position, right, where you're also the GM, and there are some things that don't go favorably. It's kind of like a head coach. You can draw up the game plan, but you're relying now on the people you brought in or the people you have to do the job that you brought them in to do. And sometimes it's competitive, and they don't get what you wanted and they wanted. And then the finger gets pointed back at you. Oh, it's your. I mean, I get it. There will be, same people out there who are critical of everything, but for me, it's hard to. He's disappointed. He wanted the Sharks to win a Stanley Cup. I thought what he said tonight to Mike Grier was awesome at the very end of his speech. This city is going to win a Stanley Cup. And Mike Grier, I hand the torch over to you. It's not for a lack of effort or care or compassion or blood, sweat, and tears that Doug and all his hockey people put into the team over the years. So I just want to say, number one, I appreciate him. I'm glad he got to be here. The health situation had kept him away from the spotlight, away from the limelight. Comes back on a night where the team wanted to honor him on a perfect opportunity early in the season against the only other team he ever played for. It was great with Chicago. And that he was able to be there. The health thing honestly sounds pretty serious right now. It looks great. I mean, as far as, being there tonight in front of a huge crowd under, a bit of a pressure situation. I'm sure he had some butterflies and was nervous to come back into something that he was around for a long time, but now you're not. And now it's run by somebody else. And that's kind of cool too. Like, he brought in Mike Greer, and now Mike Greer is the guy. And so it's more like hopefully a continuation of something than, you want it to be the continuation of competitiveness and success rather than, well, we're starting from scratch, But I'm pulling for him personally to do well as a grandpa, as a dad, as a husband, as a human being, all that stuff. Hockey stuff aside, because that's what we go back to. That's what we know. That's why we're here. It's really cool that banner is up there, and it'll be up there forever. That is, George Gund III has a banner, and now Doug Wilson does. So the guy who brought the Sharks here is most responsible for that, and the guy who led them for so many years. Those are the only two names up there. Now, pretty soon you're going to have a number. You'll have number 12 up there. Patrick Marleau will be the first Shark to get his jersey retired, but as far as tributes go, a banner with your initials up there, and you get to have tonight. Now, the game aside, everything before the game was perfect. Got to say that for sure.